Well, folks, we're going to have to talk about what happened in Minneapolis, but I want to start off by saying this. These types of videos are very hard and difficult for me to make because these types of events just keep happening over and over and over again. And every time I sit down to do a video on them, I say to myself, what could I possibly say in this video that I've not repeated 150 times? Because every time I sit down to talk about it, I'm bringing the same talking points to the table because nothing is ever getting done. The problem isn't going away. It just keeps getting worse. And I got to be brutally honest with you. I just feel like that we truly have failed our children. And so I want to start right here by giving the microphone to the children. I saw this clip of this child explaining what it was like to be there and to be in that moment. And I want y'all to take a long look at this clip. Yeah, it's hard to watch. But if both sides could get past the politics of all this just for a minute and just listen to the kids, then maybe we could see a change. I don't know. But I think it's important that we hear what they have to say.
Yeah, he went to the hospital.
What went through your mind when you saw that?
I was super scared for him, but I think now he's okay. I was scared that I wasn't going to see her because I didn't know what was happening, really. I was just in shock. It was like right beside me. I was like 2 seats away from the stained glass windows. So they were like, the shots were like right next to me. The first one, I was like, what is that? I thought it was just something. Then when I heard it again, I just ran under the pew. And then I covered my head. My friend Victor saved me though, because he laid on top of me, but he got hit.
Your friend laid on top of you?
Yeah, and he got hit.
Is this something that you've practiced before?
Yeah, we practice it every month, or I don't know, but yeah, we've never practiced it in the church though. Mm-hmm. Only in school, so it was way different.
What do you want to say to your friend who helped protect you?
He's really brave, and I hope he's good in the hospital.
And what do you want to say to everyone that had to go to the hospital?
I hope you're okay, and I'm praying for you.
You see, folks, when I see a clip like that, the first thing that goes through my mind is politics should go out the window. It shouldn't matter whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. It shouldn't matter whether you support Donald Trump or don't support Donald Trump. That moment right there, that kid talking, should bring us all together and make us just stop, shut our mouths, and listen. But instead, it's just the same thing every single time. It's always, how can we find a way to throw jabs at one another politically and one up the other? It's always, who did the shooter vote for? Who did the shooter support? And then the minute that news breaks, one side starts throwing political ammunition at the other one, no pun intended. And nothing ever gets solved, nothing ever happens because we can never talk about the issues at hand. Now, I do believe that guns are the problem. I believe that guns is the common denominator in all of this, and access to guns is easy access to guns these days is the common denominator in all of this. But I also have to say that it's always people standing in the way of policy and change. And they stand in the way of policy and change and throw up thoughts and prayers that does absolutely nothing. And I know there's going to be a lot of people get upset because so many people now are latched on to this. And people like J.D. Vance are saying, I'm going to continue to pray because God works in mysterious ways. And I'm like, well, if your God's way of working in mysterious ways is that he sits there while children are praying to him and ignores them, that right there should have been proof enough that your thoughts and prayers ain't working. But I want to play this clip from the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, because he says exactly what the rest of us are thinking when it comes to thoughts and prayers. Folks, they're not enough anymore.
These were Minneapolis families. These were American families. And the amount of pain that they are suffering right now is extraordinary. And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance. These are the sort of basic assurances that every family should have, every step of the day, regardless of where they are in our country.
Now, folks, I don't have anything against people praying. If people wants to pray for their own personal peace, that's fine with me. Go ahead. You'll never hear me criticize that. But if you want to bring thoughts and prayers to the table as a solution to this problem, I'm going to have to call it for what it is, and that's truly delusional. We don't need thoughts and prayers at this point. We need policy and change. We need people who are willing to finally face up to the facts that guns are the problem, and people having such easy access to guns is the problem, and we have to work at fixing that. And as long as you have a group of people standing in the way kicking against that, and then every time something like this happens, just shouting thoughts and prayers, we're never going to move past this. We are failing our children every day. When we resort back to the same old type of rhetoric, oh, thoughts and prayers, well, what about policy and change? What about an idea to fix the problem? Because if you're thinking about it, you're not thinking it through clear enough. And if you're praying about it, well, I mean, that's just between you and God, because those children were praying and God didn't hear them. And I hate to take it there, but that should be the case in point. Hey, look, this doesn't work, because I'm sure those kids were praying for God to watch over them that day. And it didn't happen, did it? So stop bringing that to the table as a solution. If you want to do it for your own personal peace, go for it. I'm never going to stop someone from having their own personal peace of mind, but that cannot be used to bring about change, because it's not an actual solution. But every time these events play out, it's always the same rhetoric every time. 9 times out of 10, it's always a disgruntled white dude who has just grew up on a steady diet of Donald Trump's bullshit. And MAGA will never take any responsibility for that. They'll immediately jump to, well, it's mental illness. But it's only mental illness if it's a white dude. If it's a white dude, then it's mental illness. If it's a black man, the black man never gets that consideration. They never bring that up. He's immediately a thug. They immediately go to every talking point about black on black crime, and they heap as much hatred as they can upon the black man. And if it's a trans person, well, they sure as hell heap as much hate as they can, and then they'll really start driving home the mental ill talk then. They'll go that way then, and it's so disgusting to watch. They will latch on to one little kernel of truth. They'll throw as much fire on it as they can, and they will get a bunch of people that are already filled with hate and delusion worked up and ready to take it out on the trans community. And I was so glad to see the mayor of Minneapolis bring this point across. Take a look.
I have heard about a whole lot of hate that's being directed at our trans community. Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity. We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone. We should be operating from a place of love for our kids. Kids died today. This needs to be about them. This needs to be wrapping our arms around these families with every bit of love that we can possibly show. And I know that our Minneapolis family and well beyond is prepared to do exactly that. And so my message to everyone out there is, again, these families are experiencing some acute pain right now. But don't just think of these as somebody else's kids. Think of your own.
Now, MAGA has latched on to this shooter being trans, and they're pushing that as hard as they can. They're pushing as much hatred as they can toward the trans community. But when you really go digging into this person's manifesto a little bit deeper, you will learn that they had a lot of racism and a lot of hatred in there that comes straight out of MAGA's way of thinking. But no one will ever face up to any accountability. We'll just keep having these same conversations every time it happens. And that's why I said at the start of the video, they're hard ones for me to make, because I say to myself, what could I possibly say this time that I haven't already said 150 times before? And folks, where I feel the most guilt, if I'm being brutally honest with you, is when all of these things happen over and over and over again, and then someone will mention one that happened, and sometimes I've had them mention one that didn't even happen far from where I live, and I will still be going, oh, I forgot about that one. Which one was that? I hate when I say that. Which one are you talking about? Folks, these things should be so few and far in between that we should all just remember that one date, place, and time that it happened. But instead, it happens at such a rapid pace every day that we catch ourselves saying, which one are you talking about? Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. And I think that right there is the biggest failure ever to our children. Our children are looking at us for leadership. They're looking at us to fix the problem. They're down praying to make it through the day, and they're getting shot at while they're praying. So I don't really think they're going to look over and think much of thoughts and prayers at that particular point. People are going to need policy and change. We're going to have to face the uncomfortable truths of all this. We're going to have to face up to the facts, and we're going to have to set our politics aside. I don't give a damn how big of a supporter someone is or isn't of Donald Trump. You should go back and listen to that kid one more time. Listen to that kid. Listen to what they had to say. And say to yourself, that's our children. We've all got children. Most of us do. We drop them off at school every day, and we're sitting there saying to ourselves, I hope they make it back. And we've had to have these long, awkward conversations with our kids about it. I've had to have them with my sons. And it's one of the most painful conversations to have because I really can't offer anything because what have I got? I've got a group of people who's always kicking against the policy and change. I got people who's always standing in the way of fixing the problem. So it comes down to just telling them how to duck and move. Instead of, don't worry about it. We're all adults. We'll set our politics aside. We'll fix it. I can't say that to my sons because I have no faith that we'll ever be able to. Because every time these damn things happen, it's just a repeat of the same thing over and over. And nothing ever changes. But right now, MAGA is latching on to the whole talking point about what's wrong with us praying. Nothing's wrong with you praying. The problem is your prayers aren't getting anything done. They're just there like everything else in MAGA to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside or make you feel like you're flexing at somebody. You're not. Pray all you want to. But until you're ready to bring about how we fix the problem to the table, your prayers are meaningless.